Hello, everyone, and welcome over to this special video of the series, the KFC Fantasy in our 2003 series. And I'm here right now with Wright speaking, and we're going to be talking about the season 3 that's been going on so far. We are currently mid-season as of this video, and we're just basically going to talk about things that's been going along so far, and we're just going to be talking about some of the races and the drivers, and of course we're going to be talking about the future ahead, championship contenders, and possibly some silly season as well to go with it. So right now Camp Wright is speaking right now with me.
All right, and you are right. There has been plenty of things to go on that's been going on this season. Lots of storylines, lots of rivalries that have been produced. A lot of shock winners here this season. It's been an odd season for a lot of drivers, but it's been a pretty good season. We had some awesome finishes. We had some wacky ones, some dominating finishes. But overall, this season's been probably one of the better seasons that we had these past two seasons. And starting at the Daytona 500, which had some problems. Uh, we had the Clash before that, which Saber Fox won, and his first ever start. Had a photo finish at the line with Cam Wright Jr. Then in the Daytona 500, there were some problems at the end of the race. Some fuel problems. Some other drivers pitted, and the other one stayed out, and it just didn't make any sense. So Jerry Chin came away with the win. Cam Wright Jr. finished second again in that race. But Jerry Chen got the 500 win, and that was a certainly fiery start to the season with the JC win. Then we had at Talladega, I believe, Drew Walker get another win. Drew Walker showing his plate win. His he finishes good at plate tracks normally. Obviously, he's a former Daytona 500 champ. Drew Walker heading into the season looking for his second championship, his second consecutive championship, actually, since he won last season. And he's been doing a pretty good job so far. He had a few races this season which wasn't going his way, but some of them he started pretty far back in the pack and worked his way up, and that just shows you how good those JC Cadillacs are out in the field at the moment. And there have been problems for JC going through this season and HMR, mostly for HMR with the Tag Heuer engines blowing up, especially at Darlington, and that just wasn't an HMR JC problem. CTM also had some engine blowouts, and a few other independent teams had some engine blowouts at Darlington. It wasn't a fun time for anybody at Darlington. But speaking of JC has multiple wins this year. I think around 4 or 5. Cat Rose has won this year. Jerry Chin's won twice. Drew Walker's won twice. So yeah, they have 5 wins this season. Owen Scott's trying to get his first win this season. He can very well do it. He ran very well at Canada Motorsport. Was in second to Drew Walker. Was leading the race until Drew Walker passed him. Then he got passed by Sheridan at the last lap with a little bump. Before that, he was second to Cat Rose, who got her first win. And this overall a pretty good season for JC. They're leading the point standings, I believe, right now, or maybe no. I think Meeks is leading the point standings. But either way, it's a pretty close battle up there. The point standings, HMR and JC, and a few teams behind there, and we got a rookie in Ruben Gonzalez. He's up there in the point standings. He's had a couple good finishes. I believe he finished third in the Daytona 500, and he's showing us why he is a future champion probably, and he's definitely a future winner. He keeps getting these good finishes like this. But as far as that goes, we got a lot of other drivers to discuss. We can discuss more on the JC HMR side later. As far as that goes, do you want to add anything on?
Well, just thinking. Well, we can talk a bit about Solomon Sheridan. Solomon Sheridan, obviously, his season, this season's 3, did start off not as not as perfect as what he did in the last couple of seasons. If I can remember, obviously he is trying to adapt to his new team, CD Motorsports, where he had just joined at the start of the season. Before that, he was racing independently in the number 11 FedEx Denny Hamlin car, but now racing as a team in the Dr. Pepper number 11 car, which his season obviously didn't go as planned. I think he did finish, I think, the first few races out of the top 10 until eventually maybe around, I think, Canada. I think Canada was his first top 10 finish of the season. And that race, he put up a spectacular drive, um, even overtaking Owen Scott, as we just mentioned, for second place on in the last few corners of the race. So that Solomon Sheridan uh, is probably an interesting man to watch for now, as he slowly gets adapted to the team, to his new team, and hopefully we can see, how the results will be if he can produce some better results coming to the rest of the season ahead. So,
Indeed, Sheridan, three top tens in a row so far. He's looking to make it a fourth, heading to tomorrow at I believe it's Australia and then Germany. We know how a lot of these drivers are very good in these international tracks, especially CT Motorsports. Well, not CT Motorsports in general, but Cam Wright. He had four straight top fives earlier on last season until he wrecked at Motegi, and then he had that bad crash at Germany, which gave him a concussion. Richard Petty also got injured in that wreck. As far as Solomon Sheridan goes, he ran well at Canada last year too, but he had some problems uh, and eventually fell to the back of the pack. He was running in the top five, so I don't think it's a shock he ran well at Mosport again. He actually finished the race this time, which was a positive. Sheridan's been very unlucky when it comes to the championship in terms of, you know, extra points or maybe even just getting enough points to win. For example, he had an 8 point gap in season one to Meeks. He definitely could have won there, but he got involved in a wreck, which took him out. Well, it didn't take him out of the race, but it effectively removed his championship eligibility. His car was too slow. His car was damaged. And, next season, he was obviously a pole winner for CT until Meeks just decided to get in gear and knock Sheridan off the pole, which would have certainly boosted his confidence heading into his new team. Uh, but that was unfortunate for Sheridan. Got knocked off the pole in the last race, even though he got a top 10. Yeah, Sheridan's a good driver. We can definitely look on him more this season. As far as CT goes as a whole, a few drivers that haven't been doing too well as of late have been Alejo and Miyazaki's had a considerably decent season, underratedly decent season. He's been in the top 10 for most of the time. He got knocked out of the top 10 just recently, but he's been having a decent season. Uh, he just hasn't been popping out as he should. You know, Alejo's been running in the back for some reason. I don't know what's up with that team, but there are rumors that Alejo will be branded to the seven next season. Uh, it will no longer be the two team, but these are just rumors. They will still drive for CT Motorsports. That's the rumor. There are also rumors of Kendrick Meeks actually departing from Hill Meeks Racing as a driver. He'll still be the co-owner, but he's also in talks with CT Motorsports about signing with them. So that also could mean CT Motorsports might be losing a driver, and know if it'll be. It certainly couldn't be Sheridan, but it might be. It could even be the team owner stepping down. I'm right, or maybe Alejo or Miyazaki getting replaced by Meeks as a driver. I don't know, but that'd be a certainly great team if you think about it. Meeks, Sheridan, possibly Cam Wright, Alejo, or Miyazaki. in there as well. All race winners. Uh, Certainly a strong team, but those are just rumors. Uh, as far as there are another team I would like to talk about, and that's SLR. SLR has not been doing great this season at all. Do you want to talk about that, any?
SLR. Yeah,
Yes.
we have heard on the news. I think this has just been confirmed. Don't know if it's still not confirmed, but it has been mentioned as confirmed that SLR Racing will be no more from next season, as SLR Racing is planning to merge with another team. I think with the satellite team of CD Motorsport, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's what I've heard. J-Line Racing, they lost their driver. Cam Wright Jr. is leaving JLR by the end of the season, so it's unfortunate. Rumors that are for Cam Wright Jr. that maybe he might not even be driving for D1 as it goes, but there might be talks if he could stay in D1. And if he does, he might or might not be going to HRE if that stays, but there's just a lot of uncertainty as a whole for the league heading into season 4. HRE might not exist. SLR is not going to be here anymore. It's going to be uh, Richard Petty is going to be on that team. Richard Petty Jr. They originally announced that he will be driving for CT Motorsports satellite team next season. That contract will stay even if the team merges with SLR. And the team name hasn't been confirmed yet, but Richard Petty, Ray Ayanami, and Tyree Lowell will be driving for that team. Uh, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty. We're not sure if Richard Petty will actually agree to these terms as of now, or if he'll want to back out or not. Richard Petty also has his own team. There's just a lot of, just generally a lot of uncertainty. Like I said, uncertainty. SLR, they just haven't had a good season this season. Probably losing money, honestly. After that 2 wins Ray got at Talladega and Daytona last season, they just haven't been doing as well as they should have been. Uh, they had a lot of momentum and it just vanished, and I don't know why. Uh, they will. The rumor is that the new team that will be forming in season 4, will be Chevy. They will not be Dodge, and they will also be help funded by CT Motorsports to help get them on their feet. And the team will be owned mostly by Tari Lowell. So that's as far as that's all we know about that team currently.
Right. So we can start looking at other teams to talk about. We're looking at teams that are possibly gonna. So we are looking at teams that are possibly gonna enter D1 from next season, or at least teams that are not currently racing full time, especially with the likes of Furry Row Motorsports. Furry Row
Yes.
Motorsports is currently run by part-time driver Saber Fox. Saber Fox is currently a D2 driver, but does have options, and he currently is driving for D1 part-time with his own team, Furry Row Motorsports. And of course, there has been rumors as well of whether Saber Fox could eventually get his chance of racing in D1 full time. But of course, that has not been confirmed as of yet, as obviously, according to the officials, they do not wish to comment any further in regards to the rumors, as this obviously would depend on whether this basically depend on the amount of space that has that have available. Of course, currently the amount of positions in D1 are currently full, but there are definitely possibilities of having driver position available from next season, which we're going to start talking about the driver that is confirmed to have left the server and is unlikely to make it to season 4. So, but anyway, so we're going to talk a bit more about this promising driver, Saber Fox, and his team, Ford
Yes.
Motorsports.
won the Clash this season, the first ever Clash. Might I remind you? Now this Clash wasn't planned; it was just an error Daytona race that we had. We decided to call it the Clash and gave the little extra boost for the Daytona 500, which I think we should actually implement. We should do like a 10-lap Clash at Daytona before the Daytona 500, and whoever wins it gets an extra bonus point. So you might want to look into that weeb. I think it'd be pretty fun. But anyways, yeah, Saber Fox has been pretty impressive this season. You know, ran a top 15 at Darlington. It's a pretty good race for a rookie, honestly. Won the Clash. I think pretty decent at Daytona. Ran up front for a bit, and problems at Motorsport, but for the most part, they were running top 15. I think they might have continued that race. I don't know. I don't think they did, but yeah, Saber Fox has got a lot of potential heading into season 4 if he does decide to go full time. There are rumors that he is getting funded by JC. I think JC confirmed it on their Twitter page. Like I said, I'm not sure, but if that is the case, then Saber Fox is going to have huge advantage going into season 4 over some of the other rookie drivers. But there, like I said, another promising driver we have is Ruben Gonzalez. Top 10 in points for a rookie. This entire season is amazing. He had a third place finish at the 500, I think. Uh, Overall, just an impressive driver. Got a lot to look forward to in him next season. Like I said, there is some drivers. We've said there is some drivers retiring at the end of this season, which is unfortunate. One of them is the infamous Rick Roll. He will not be with us by season 4, and he will not be in D2 next season. So that is unfortunate. He is not the best driver on track. He is a personality, and it is a personality that we will miss on track, despite him rolling people. He gave us memories, and luckily we still have two uh, so-called public enemies left, and those are Austin Leong and Thomas Giuliano. So we still have those guys to worry about, but Rick Roll will be missed, even if he was a menace on the track. As far as that goes, those are pretty much the drivers that aren't confirmed. That's pretty much the only driver that is pretty much leaving this season. There are rumors about Cam Wright Jr. not going to D1, like I said. Oh, yeah, and another driver that is confirmed to be retiring by the end of the season, James Jameson from TD Autosports. That's two drivers from that same team that won't be racing at the end of the season. Now, there has been a replacement for the 23. His name is AJ Fletcher. He will be driving the 23 Dodge for season 4 for TD Autosports. Tristan Mendoza was also there, so that team has been reduced to a 2-man team. That's just that's pretty much it. Cam Wright Jr. might not be with us at the end of the season. Like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty with him as far as it goes. We would have to decide if he will be able to stay this season for season 4 or not. But I believe he will more than likely be moved down to D2. But there is a lot of drivers that we should talk about, like Jacob Hammond.
Yes.
Rough season for him.
And he did lose.
As far as
He
team
did lose.
race for. What are you saying? Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say he did lose that seat at the start of the season. He started off with HMR, but then after one race, he lost the backing.
I believe it was I believe it was Leland Motorsports. He was driving.
Oh, Leland Motorsports, HMR satellite team.
Either that or HMR. Either that or HMR. He got kicked out of that ride. Then he moved to SLR. Them, and it was just announced that he won't race for them either, effective immediately. So I don't know where he's gonna go. Maybe Richard Petty Jr. is gonna pick him up. I'm not sure. Richard Petty Jr. has exclaimed a lot of faith in Jacob Hammond, so he will probably stay in that 50 and drive for Richard Petty Jr. Motorsports, probably more than likely. Let's talk about some wins this season. Let's talk about some races. Let's talk about Motegi. Let's talk about Motegi.
That was the best race
Matt
ever.
Rose. Cat Rose. It's her first win at Motegi. We know how good she is at that track. She's done very well at that track in the past races. Almost won. In season one, almost won. But she
Yes.
finally gets the first win this season. We have a few first-time winners that have been in season for quite a while from season one. But Cat Rose stood out this season. Uh, she's had a she put together she's put together a couple good races this season. Definitely up there in terms of points, and she got her first win. So, what do you think going through the mind of the team this season, heading into this season, knowing a lot of people were doubting if they were actually up to JC standards, if I may so to speak?
Well, I mean, JC Motorsports has obviously he is obviously the team to beat right now, especially with the number of wins that they had this season, more than any other team so far. They have, of course, the two victories with Jerry Chen and Drew Walker, and of course Cat Rose. So I think these three drivers, alongside Owen Scott, who has yet to win a race, these drivers deserve the equipment they need to win races, and that's why they're there at JC Motorsports. So I mean, for the rest of the season, what I'm predicting of how the results will stand or how the results would be, I think Owen Scott can eventually get a win if he can. Obviously, and he's a driver who is working really hard to get his first win. So far in the past two races, I think he was close to winning a race. He had been leading for probably most of the race, I think, but then eventually he lost it to Drew Walker and Cat Rose respectively. So, but Owen Scott, he's still a young driver. He this is obviously his first full time season, and that is of course very luckily on a team that has won the championship last season. So Owen Scott can definitely do it, and I know he
I
can.
believe he can. He's a great driver. He's proven why he belongs in that seat, and he is surefire future winner of this series, maybe even a future champion. Uh, don't want to jinx it though. Let's talk about. Let's also talk about Chicagoland.
Yeah, Chicagoland was definitely also one
Yes,
of the best as well
yep.
we've ever produced, and we all want to know why. Is how the race
We
finished.
obviously we obviously had low expectations heading into that race because we dub it the crash land for a reason.
That was last season
Race
when
it,
it happened.
this race didn't disappoint. It had some crashes in there, quite a few crashes. There was like three flips that race. I think Drew Walker was one of them.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, he
Uh,
flipped over like mad.
let's talk about the finish there. At the end, we have running order heading into the white flag on the backstretch. We have Tyler Hill out front, Cam Wright second, Kendrick Meeks in third, who started from like 31st. Keep in mind, started Kendrick Meeks started from 31st. Now we're headed into turn four. Cam Wright goes to the outside. Kendrick Meeks goes to the bottom. They both reach the quarter panels of Tyler Hill, both quarter panels. Now, you would think inside would be the fastest line. Or excuse me, that's not how it worked. Cam Wright got passed by Kendrick Meeks and forced on the outside into the turn. Coming out of the trial, well, not the trial, excuse me, the turn four, Kendrick Meeks passed on the bottom. Cam Wright was on the outside. Led to a three wide finish at the line, which ultimately gave Cam Wright the win on the outside. There was a lot of controversy that race with Hill Meeks and them turning cars. Uh, most of those wrecks actually were caused by Hill Meeks getting on other cars' quarter panels and turning them. Uh, for example, they 54 or the 55, I believe, bumped one of the other cars and it caused a huge wreck and a bunch of flips. And essentially, uh, the drivers of Hill Meeks would not take credit for, well, they wouldn't take credit anyway. They wouldn't, essentially said that the wreck wasn't their fault. If you're going that slow into the turns, you deserve to be dumped, right? So that was the whole thing behind Hill makes that race. And into that final lap, what I believe happened was they went slow into the final turn, which held up Meeks and it held up Riley Hill, which allowed the 88 to pass on the outside and get the win. That's what I think happened. So that's a little bit of karma there. And Hill Meeks Racing hasn't had the best season, despite Meeks being up there. Also, Riley Hill being up there. Leland Hill and Lowell Turnside haven't been doing the best. They also aren't the worst. But Hill Meeks certainly had a few bad races, no doubt about that. Meeks is bone and engine. Uh, Hill just can't. I don't know. He just can't outdo his teammates for some reason. Uh, they all have equal equipment with JC, and they've been competing up there with JC a lot. But normally it's JC who comes out on top. Meeks got a win at Kentucky earlier this season. 2 consecutive wins at Kentucky. Reminds you, he's that good at that track.
Yeah.
Pretty much our home track of this series. It's the KFC Cup series, but Meeks just shows us why he is a former champion, and he's looking to get his second championship along with Drew Walker, who's trying to get his second. That's an interesting championship battle right there between Meeks and Walker, who are both looking for their second championships.
And there are other championship contenders as well, especially in the likes of Riley Hill
Jerry Chin
and Jerry Chen as well. Riley Hill is currently second in the championship to Kendrick Meeks, and definitely the one to watch, as well as Jerry Chen. Lola Churnside, interestingly, is an outside choice of the championship. She's currently like 6th place, I think. Well, 5th place in the standings, I think. Although despite not winning a race, her consistency has been somewhat pretty high, and literally, like, based on that, and she's now currently 5th place in the standings, or at least in the top 10 position in the standings. So Churnside is definitely the one to watch.
Owen Scott also in the top 5. If you look at that,
yeah, Owen Scott as well. Yeah, Owen Scott. I think Owen Scott is 4th. Yeah, Owen Scott is currently 4th in the standings. Obviously without a win, but hopefully he can get his first win if he can. That'll be a bonus for him to make it up for him.
Look at Sheridan. He's up there too. He's up there just outside of the top 10.
Who?
Sheridan. Solomon Sheridan's just outside the top 10.
Sheridan
had the crazy.
Yeah, Solomon Sheridan is starting to pick up the pace, and as well as picking up the pieces of what he has, and just trying to make his way ahead. So obviously, with his strong finishes in the last couple of races, I think maybe more, but so far, yeah, Solomon Sheridan, if he can carry on like this, then hopefully he can get close up to the leaders up front in terms of the points. And as well as Kat Rose. Kat Rose did manage to pour cold water on the rumours of whether she'll be staying in the main team of JC Motorsports in the future. Especially with, how can I say it? Well, it's basically depending on performances between her
if she stay with JC or not, depending on her performance this season.
It was also to do with Quinn Mullany as well. Which was the driver originally considered to race for the number 12 car. That is, of course, currently driven by Owen Scott. Fortunately,
he isn't doing too well, honestly. Quinn Mullany, he's down there in terms of points.
Obviously, he did. In the last couple of races, the first race of the international tour. He did manage to finish at least a strong points finish. I think one of the races he finished was in the top 10. I think around 6th place.
Yeah, I believe so.
Can't remember which one, but Quimmerly did finish really strongly, and I don't know if he's going to carry on like this as we're coming down to Australia, which is currently the next race as of this video. But
there is one more thing I want to mention about Rickroll before we move on.
Go ahead.
Uh, Rick Roll, as you know, he's not the best driver, obviously. He's been down there in terms of points, but as far as his last season goes, he had 4 straight top tens right off the bat. That is crazy considering the talent he showed us these past few seasons, which hasn't been very high. But for him to get 4 straight top tens, he's trying to get a win this season. He's trying to go out with a win. I can respect that. We might see him get a win. You never know. Anything can happen.
That depends, I guess. Maybe it's more of like trying to work for it, and maybe
Yeah.
when he gets a chance, when he does so, then hopefully he can get a win. Probably it's not going to be easy for him, but at least if one door opens for him, he can definitely sneak through and take it. I think he'll be that moment coming before he can get a win. So,
For sure. For sure.
because so far he has not actually led a lap, I don't think, in the series. So, but still,
I don't
anything can
think so.
change.
Anything can happen. Like we said, anything can happen in this series. Bro could get a win. Heck, Giuliano could get a win. We already know Austin Leong has a win. He won his first race and his only race. Uh, Watkins Glen.
That
Wasn't
wasn't
much of a
season.
race, so
Yeah, it was a
yeah, it
season
wasn't
though.
much of. Huh? Anyways,
Okay. I think he cut off. I think Cam Wright cut off. So, oh, he's back on now. Wait a second.
I left the voice chat on accident. That's my bad.
Yeah, I thought you've cut out. Right.
What
What?
else is there to talk about?
What
Let's
was
see.
it? We've done Rick Roll
So we've
again.
gone over some of the points. We went over Rick Roll, Jerry Chen, all of them, JC, CTM. There's one driver I'm pretty disappointed in this season. He hasn't been
Who?
doing too well, and that's Dylan Hayden,
Yeah, Dylan Hayden.
former Indy
Unusually,
winner.
yeah, the Indy winner last season. He has not. Obviously, he's not the same season as he had last season, but and so far,
No, he was definitely a rookie. He was a rookie of the year contender with up there with Owen Scott. Honestly, this season he hasn't been doing too well. Around 28th in points, to put it in
especially
perspective.
in the number 48, because
We got veterans. We got a veteran down there in terms of points too, and Richard Herman, who also won a race before, around 30th in terms of points. Richard Herman, that's disappointing. As a solo dolo team he's got running 5-9-3 racing or 5-3-6-9 racing or whatever. Noel Hamilton's down there in terms of points. Forrest Henry, who's also a veteran, down there in points. Avery Hamilton down there in points after his incredible season last year. Top 10 points finish, I think. Tristan Mendoza, also a former winner, down in points. Quinn Mulaney, obviously down in points. Quinn Mulaney down there in points. Also, Richard Petty Jr. is down there in points, which is unfortunate. You would want to see him succeed, and currently he isn't succeeding at the moment.
especially with his
But
shenanigans.
We got guys like Miyazaki up there nearing the top 10. Uh, Joey Maddox up there in the top 10 almost. He's looking to get in the top 10. Daniel Bouchard looking to get in the top 10. John Palmer, Thomas Giuliano, they're all close to the top 10. They're just a race win back from the top 10 if you think about it. All those guys up there. That's just named. They're at least a race winning back or a second place finishing back from the top 10. Ray Anami's also up there around 18th position. Rick Roll in 19th position, somewhere around there. But a lot of drivers that have really shown their skills this season. So far, there's been drivers with 2 wins: Cam Wright, Jerry Chen, and Drew Walker. Weeks has 1 win this season. I believe there's other few drivers that won this season. I know for a fact they won, but I just can't name them off the top of my head. far as rivalries go, we can talk about the one that we had last season, and we saw some of
Yeah.
it this season, which I'm talking in specifically about Drew Walker and Cam Wright.
Yes. Was it Canada last season?
It was Canada and Australia back to back.
Ah, yeah, yeah, I can remember. I don't know how it happened, but yeah, it was pretty much some sort of connection between those racers. But yeah, let's talk about the rivalry that we had, the mini rivalry.
Oh, it continued this season. As you know, last season it was pretty clean. Drew Walker and Cam Wright found themselves up in front at Mosport Canada. They battled. Drew Walker made a mistake in one of those turns. He went wide into the grass, slowed him down. Something that a lot of drivers make mistakes there. Cam Wright took the lead, had like two to go, made the same mistake, and Drew Walker battled him pretty much all the way to the white flag. Just passed him like two turns left to go and took the win. And then Australia, Cam Wright was leading. They came upon lap cars. They battled through lap cars for like 20 to 30 laps until Cam Wright finally got held up by like two lap cars, and Drew came away with the win in Australia, which is our next race, by the way. It's going to be a fun one. You don't want to miss it. Uh, and then this season, things took a turn when Drew Walker span out Cam Wright at for no reason. He was going too slow or something, but he just span him out. I believe you remember seeing that because it's at his home track, which is the one thing I remember. And he was wearing a tribute scheme dedicate to one of his animals, and Drew Walker just span him out. And he never recovered from that. He hit the wall. He barely tapped the wall, but pretty much stayed in last. Pretty much. Uh, I didn't think we would ever see something like that from Drew Walker. I just believe it was a mistake on his part. Uh, we have seen a few things like that this season. Specifically from not Cam Wright, but Cam Wright Jr. last season when he was taking over the 88. Uh, he actually took out Rick Roll, straight up dumped him into the wall. And before that, he took out James Jameson at Martinsville and spun him out. So there's certainly a lot of things going on there with drivers spinning each other out. And I'm not sure if it's a mistake or if it's just them wanting to just dump drivers. JC specifically has been on the edge of causing some of these wrecks. And I'm not saying it's their fault. HMR has also been on there too. Uh, JC specifically at Talladega, causing that massive big one. I'm not sure if it was their fault exactly. You can't really judge plate track mistakes because everyone makes them, so it's not specifically anyone's fault at plate tracks. But certainly, Cat Rose spun out Cam Wright at Darlington. There's no mistake about that. It was just spinning somebody out. There's definitely a lot of rivalries developing. Sheridan and Meek still have their rivalry going on. Sure if Owen Scott's going to take too lightly to Sheridan bumping him out of the way for second on the last lap. So that something might develop between them in the next race here in Australia. We might see something between that. As far as other rivalries go, we obviously have SLR versus HMR, who do not like each other at all. And that's pretty much it for the rivalries. Issues between John Palmer and Jerry Chin, I think. After the white flag, Jerry Chin, I believe, won a race. John Palmer just came up. Or no, excuse me, it wasn't Jerry Chin. It was Drew Walker. After
Yes.
the race, it was at Kentucky. I remember. John Palmer just came up and off a pit road and smashed into the side of Drew Walker. We don't know why that happened. Uh, John Palmer just came up and hit him. John Palmer also, I believe there was another incident he was involved in recently. I think he span out a lap car and almost caused a giant wreck. Forgot who the lap car was, but he just ran right into him, spun him out. And almost caused giant wreck for Cam Wright Jr. and Cam Wright Sr. Almost hit each other. I'm not sure how they avoided that, but as far as rivalry goes, that's pretty much it. Uh, our main rivalry is pretty much throughout the entire thing. Both seasons we have SLR versus HMR, JC kind of the middle, CT minding their own business. TD, they're the really ones that just they don't really care. They just race. They're just here to race. But yeah, Thomas Giuliano's been quiet this season. Hasn't caused much problems. I believe he held up a few cars at Daytona, but you know, lap cars are going to do that no matter what. What else can we talk about?
Oh, don't forget the
Paint
mysterious driver.
crashes. Thing.
Sorry. Sorry, you're cutting out.
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
I was
Talk.
gonna say we can talk about the driver that mysteriously appeared in the series early on this season. That is the likes of Borat Sayawa. Can't pronounce it correctly because my Hungarian pronunciation is pretty bad. But yeah, he mysteriously
Sagdiev.
appeared in the series.
Sagdiev. Sure. Sagdiev.
Sayawa. Whatever. I'll just say it whatever I
That's
can
good.
say. But yeah, he mysteriously appeared in the series early on in the season, taking over Jacob Hammond after a shock replacement on the number, I can't remember, number 25, I think, of the Leland Motorsports satellite team. And, well, for some reason, as we mentioned, Jacob Hammond got replaced by Borat. And since then, Borat was able to produce some interesting results as well. And not to forget, he's actually also a protege of HMR's rival team, JC Motorsports, which I think JC Motorsports came with an agreement with HMR to allow HMR to sign Borat for the seat in the season. And Borat took it, and eventually he was able to produce some good results, which is quite interesting to say, because based on Borat's performances, he could probably end up in a full-time seat with JC Motorsports satellite team HRE. But obviously, based on the rumors that was mentioned, of course, we cannot comment any further on what's going on, especially with the team and stuff like that. But based on my point of view, I think Borat is pretty interesting to watch as well for the future, which I think could be good for him to hopefully get into better equipment with the team, and hopefully with that can probably help him to get closer up to the front. So I think it'll be pretty interesting for him if he does end up in a much better team for next season, or especially
Yep.
with the likes of JT Motorsports.
Borat's definitely a good driver. One to look out for. Honestly impressed with his performances. Definitely a good driver. I see why Chen picked him up, owned him to HMR. But yeah, he's definitely a. I think he's also a future winner. If you ask me, I think he can win one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to say, and yeah, that'll be interesting. Right, who else can we mention? I think we'll mention almost everybody, and if I can't think any more, we might as well just head on to D2 and talk a bit about that and how it went from there. Especially with the progress, of course, we had really slow progress
Yep.
with
Well, D
D2.
two worked. CT Motorsports worked together with JC to build the parts, the cars. Obviously, that's all sponsored by Ford, and the cars are all Ford. So far, we've had Daytona, uh, Stead, and tomorrow we are doing Bristol. So far, the first winner of the first ever D2 race was actually Miyagi Nariyoshi, who was in D1 last season. She won the first ever Daytona race, D2. Cameron Jr. second. That's three. That's literally three consecutive second finishes in a row. Think about it. for Cameron Jr. He finished second in the Clash. He finished second in the 500, and he finishes second in the D2 Daytona race. Borat also showed some of his skill in that race, getting the fastest lap. Then we got a prospect that everyone should look out for, and I'm talking to JC, HMR, TD Autosports. I don't care. These teams need to look at this guy. Blake Parker driving the 92. He got a win at Homestead, getting the second win of the second race in D2, his first win. So he's the guy to look out for. Jerry Chen came second. He had the fastest lap that race. He was racing with some good drivers there, like for example, let's see, Giuliano, Saber Fox, Rick Roll, Jerry Chen, Borat, Billy Joe. D1 drivers that have raced in D1, they have experience. Blake Parker doesn't have experience, and he gets his win in his second start here in the D2 race. So Blake Parker is someone to look out for. But we got some other D2 drivers like
The new ones are coming
Henry
in.
J. Brown. Henry J. Brown is a D2 driver.
Yes.
Bavona is a D2 driver that we can look out for. Saber Fox, obviously in D2 as well. AJ Dudney is a D2 driver. Howell is also a D2 driver. He has his own team in D2, by the way. You never know if they might move up. If they decide to move up to D1, they might have a bigger team. Right now, it's a single man team. But that's pretty much it for D2. Tomorrow we move to Bristol with a bigger field, arguably. Around the 18-car field for Bristol is what is rumored, because we have a few more new drivers joining in for D2.
CJ Williams is one of them, and it is set that he'll be driving the number 81 car. Hopefully in the next race when he's able to get in. And the other driver as well that just had signing today, I think. No, not today. Well, probably today in America, but not in England, where I'm live from there. Darrell Fuller signed in as well in the number 39 car. So we do hope to see him as well in the next race tomorrow. And as well as Robert Campbell. He will be driving in the number. He entered the car number 78, I think. If it's available, I think it's available, but he'll be entering.
Yep, it's available.
Yeah, so hopefully we might also see Robert Campbell in the next race at D2, whenever
That's pretty much
is.
3 confirmed drivers right there. That's an 18-car field right there
Yes, 18
for
car.
Bristol. Keep in mind, this is the first time the league will ever race at Bristol. After the performance at D2, if the track runs well, we might be considering to add it next season. We do have a future track that is in D2 and in D1 that has never been raced before, and that is Dover. I'm extremely excited for that race.
Yeah,
especially in D1. That track is just a really tough track to run with its banking on the straightaways, backstretch, and the turns. I mean, if you spin, you're gonna hit the wall pretty much. It's gonna be very, very hard to drive that track. Any type of contact is gonna be hard for these drivers to get through. We've seen some incredible saves. Speaking of saves, what about the one Drew Walker pulled off a few races ago at Motegi? I think Richard Petty, I believe it was his fault, but Richard Petty kind of turned Drew Walker, and Drew Walker like turned all the way to the wall and just somehow saved it. It tapped another car barely, but all the cars didn't. There was no wrecking. It was just Drew Walker just with an amazing save. And we've seen some great saves before. Richard Petty got spun out at Talladega or Daytona, one of the two, and he didn't hit anything. He just went back on the gas, got through it. Kendrick Meeks last season, he got loose a little bit off the turn and just saved it as well. There's been some pretty cool saves by these veterans in the series.
Yeah, pretty interesting races going along as well. So
there is just one more thing I want to talk about, and generally the last thing we have to talk about left is the future races, and
Yes,
we can go over the future races and what teams we're gonna have the most chance to win them.
we can have a
Let
look.
me pull up the race schedule real quick and go
Uh,
through them.
Obviously,
So
Australia.
obviously the next race, we got Australia, and I want to know your prediction. Who is gonna win Australia?
Well,
I know it's like a 140.
it's pretty hard to say. But I mean, remember last race in Australia, we saw the rivalry between Drew Walker and Cam Wright. Now, based on their performances so far, and especially as they're now currently in championship contender, I think Cam Wright is still mathematically in contention for the championship too. So I think a rivalry could still happen, at least for these two drivers. Perhaps not in the lead, but perhaps somewhere where these two drivers could battle together.
That would be amazing though. If it was in the lead, that would be crazy. I would pay to see that.
Yeah.
I
So
don't care who. I would pay to see Drew Walker and Cam Wright battle it out again at Australia. That would be amazing.
yeah.
But honestly, I'm gonna go with someone who's been pretty good these past few races. I'm going to say Owen Scott's gonna win this race. It's just my guess.
Well, I mean, Owen
And then
Scott. Owen Scott could definitely um finally get into the race win at some point later in the season. So
keep in mind, he did not run the international tracks. He came after that, so he hasn't ran this track before. But I think he can do it. I think he's gonna win. I think he could definitely win this race. He's been on a good hot streak as of late, and he's up there in points. He's a championship contender if you think about it. His first full time season, he is a championship contender right now. While we move on to Germany, I don't know who's going to win this one. Germany's really unpredictable, honestly.
well, if I can remember, I don't remember much about Germany, but of course, I mean, if I can say, I mean, let me say this. It will be a really big shock if Richard Petty Jr. can actually win this race. Not only if he does win this race, it will probably be more emotional for him,
Well, this is his
especially for
home
his
track,
shenanigans.
so
Especially for his
this is his
shenanigans.
home track.
It
I
is.
believe Sheridan actually won here last year. I think Sheridan won here.
I know he won
I see.
Japan. I don't think he won Germany. No, maybe not.
I will bring up the results right quick.
I think Miyazaki won one of the races, but that was season one.
Miyazaki won. He won Texas in
Oh, he
season
won
one.
Texas.
He's only got one win.
Oh, I almost forgot. Speaking of German, I think that was the driver who's no longer with us, which is Issa Mengaloli, who won season one. So obviously that sparked to my mind just now.
That is, he wasn't the best driver, but he did get a win. So he definitely had a future ahead of him. I just wish he wouldn't have retired so early.
Well, it
Sad
was
to see him. It was sad to see him go at the time he did.
It was
I
pretty
am
shocking.
looking for Germany right now. I'm looking for it. Where is it?
It's actually not going to be easy. I didn't properly state down which year it was. I'm going to go quickly.
It was Sheridan. Sheridan did win
Oh, Sheridan did
at
win.
Germany. He beat Alejo.
Yeah.
He passed
Oh,
Alejo with like 5 laps to go.
it was a battle between Alejo and Sheridan. Alejo was doing pretty well on that track, and this could have been his second win at the time, but until Sheridan passed him for the win. So, yeah, and Sheridan is known for passing on the last lap for the lead. Remember back in season one, I think that was
He did it at
Talladega.
Talladega.
He passed Kendrick
Also did it
Meeks.
at Japan. I believe he did it at Japan, or maybe not.
No,
But
Terry Lowell passed
he
him on the
did it at
last lap.
Talladega. He did it at Talladega for sure. He did it at Talladega for sure. It was that was an amazing race, honestly. Uh,
Japan. He passed
after
Drew
that,
Walker.
Dover. After that, we got Dover. I'm very excited for this track.
Yeah, and you never know who will win that race. Obviously, being the first
I don't
race
think I'm
ever in
gonna lay
Dover.
out a prediction for this track. I don't know who can win. We haven't seen the cars run this track before, but we have seen these cars run Atlanta before. And last season that was dubbed the most boring race ever. But Steve, right, who won that race? Uh, I know somebody won that race. Was it John Appleseed or no? I don't think it was.
Wait, at
Somebody
Atlanta.
won the race. I
Atlanta.
know who won Atlanta last
Or
season.
Quinn Melanie.
Remember?
Quinn Melanie won
Yeah,
it.
Quinn. Oh yeah, Atlanta. He passed Drew Walker, I think, didn't he?
I think, but it was a lot of lap cars, and it was all mixed in
Yeah.
together between
Anyway,
that.
let's just, as far as this race goes, I just hope it produces a better race,
Hopefully,
more fun. We know how good this track was in NASCAR, and it's produced some of the best races to exist in NASCAR. It's produced some exciting finishes. And then we have Nashville. I remember this track.
Nashville is where I think this is where the curse had happened, which we're going to talk a bit more about that. This was obviously last season, the first ever race at Nashville. It all started pretty well, and it did produce some good battles as well, especially between Jerry Chen and James Jameson. James Jameson, this was one of the few races where he was actually on a high, although he didn't win that race,
You know,
but he was doing really
I
well.
think Christian is very underrated. He's one of the more consistent drivers, honestly, these past 2 seasons. But this season, he just isn't doing well. It's his last season in the series. But had not that caution come out, James Jameson probably would have won that race.
Probably.
Uh, After Nashville, we got Texas,
Yeah,
and oh boy, Texas has been dominated by CT Motorsports.
I think
Dex
Drew Walker.
won. Dex won in season one. Alejo won in season two.
CD Motorsports. My bad. Yeah, that's pretty interesting to see. Um, what will
Seems
bring
like
Texas?
there are a few tracks that teams do better at, like Mosport. JC has 2 wins there. Kentucky HMR has 2 wins there. All the wins pretty much there. And Texas CT has all the wins there. Uh, they're looking to get their third consecutive Texas win. Then we got a track we haven't seen either, and that's Hermanos Rodriguez.
That is going to be our first trip to Mexico in the
I
series.
believe that is the oval, correct?
It is an oval. It's also the same track that did the Formula One Mexican Grand Prix, which also has a Grand Prix circuit there. So basically, a Grand Prix circuit and an oval there.
Very interesting to see who wins there. I haven't seen the oval. I don't know how the oval is going to work.
It's more of
It should be interesting, though.
It's more of like, I think, Darlington, more of a straight oval. It's not like a super speed or anything, but it's pretty much what you call probably 1 mile oval.
And now we go on to Las Vegas.
Las
Now
Vegas.
Las Vegas last time decided who won the title, so it was pretty much locked before even Las Vegas. But Las Vegas was the decider, so this could even be the decider who wins the championship. If the championship leader gets that far ahead in points, in terms of points, any of these races really could be the decider on who wins. But Las Vegas is definitely going to be pretty heavily involved in championship status since it's the second to last race. And I forgot who's won here the past 2 races, but I believe last time Hill Mix Racing Car won Las Vegas. I think it was
Leland Hill. We gotta talk about that.
Leland Hill won here last time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I almost forgot that
Also won
rivalry.
the beach last season.
He was king of the beach at
Sure.
the only non-championship race so far, and that is at the Daytona Beach.
Leland Hill, despite his lackluster season compared to his other teammates, he is also right outside the top 10 in terms of points. So he is also there by technicality. He is there. Hill, I know he wants to do better, and I think he can do better. He's just got a hot head, and I think that just gets to him on the track. So he can definitely do better. He's definitely one driver to watch, along with the entirety of HMR. Pretty much their entire team is in the top 10, so they're pretty much guaranteed a pole position. Then we got Auto Club.
Auto Club, the last race of the season, and Joey
Who won
Maddox,
their last? Joey Maddox and
Kendrick
Kendrick
Meeks.
Meeks won. Kendrick Meeks and Joey Maddox is one here, so a rookie one here and a veteran one here. So
Exactly.
obviously, this race doesn't necessarily mean you'll win the championship because this is the Winston points format or the Winston points format, but it's
Yeah.
whoever most consistent wins. It's not the playoff format. So this race is just essentially just test what you got, go out there and try to get a win. Just get us some motivation for next season. Uh, Typically, this is a race for not necessarily the champion, a race for the other to try to get to the pole points, which is be vital if you want to do good in the next season. High example of that is JC and
Yeah.
HMR. That's why they've done so well. Is because they've done very well in these final few races, even early on in the season. They've been very consistent. Those Cadillacs are something else, I swear. Uh, the Auto Club is just a track for these drivers, just to try to get some extra points and just look better. Uh, like I said, Joey Maddox, like you said, Joey Maddox won here last season. He could definitely win here again. I think he's up there in terms of points too, top 15, I believe. Uh, Certainly don't count him out just yet. But yeah, that's all the tracks we got this season. We got a few races left to go. A little over 12 races to go, I think. It'll be very exciting to see who's gonna start to pull away with the championship contenders. I think it's probably gonna be Drew Walker or Meeks, obviously. I think it's gonna be mainly them two battling out for the championship, but don't count out Riley Hill. He is very consistent. And don't even count out Jerry Chin. He has 2 wins this season. He's trying to get a record-breaking third win. No one has got 3 wins in a season. Drew Walker, Cam Wright also trying to do that. Uh, Drew Walker won Talladega and Fort Canada. Jerry Chin won the Kona 500 and Indy. Won Indy, right?
He won Indy, yes.
Uh, Cam Wright won the Streets of New York race, the first ever Streets of New York race. Very unique race. And he won Chicagoland. And probably one of the best finishes ever to exist in the series. Uh, so I don't even count him out. He's in like ninth in terms of points after being dead last for the first 4 races. Uh, yeah, that just proves even if you're in last, you can shoot up to the straight to the top 10 in points as long as you get some good couple of races in. But those are pretty much the tracks for this season. The largest schedule for any season, like last season had 16 races. This season has 18 races. That's an extra 2 races added onto this schedule. It's an extra 2 races for you to get points and try to win the championship. So this has pretty much been the entire mid-season review. We do have some crashes to go over if you want to go over those, Weeb.
We do have some what?
Like wrecks, crashes.
Oh, Rex.
Some pretty big.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember the best one that I remember so far. It
Like
might
we
have
had
been
that flip at Talladega. I think
yes.
Austin flipped. I flipped. Cam Wright flipped.
Oh
Cam
yes.
Wright Jr.
That was one of the biggest crashes actually ever in the series so far. We've seen a lot of cars getting crashed. I think Rickroll was the one involved. I think he got hit by somebody. I can't remember. I think Alajo was the one who caused it. Then a lot of other cars been
Aljo.
involved in wrecks, and then
A few races ago, Aljo dumped Rick Roll. Then in another race, Aljo dumped John Appleseed at Mosport. I don't know what's going on with Aljo. He hasn't had he's had a terrible season, honestly, for a 2-time winner in this series. We hope he can do better, honestly. But
yeah,
there's
don't
been plenty of crashes this season. We had some like three odd flips at like Chicagoland. Drew Walker flipped. 2 other drivers flipped. Austin flipped this season. Cam Wright Sr. flipped the season. Cam Wright Jr. also flipped the season in the same wreck. Which is odd. That can't be a coincidence. coincidence. Uh, I think that's it. There's going to be plenty more wrecks we can expect. Obviously, with 12 races to go, there's definitely going to be another wreck. We know that for sure. As far as drivers go, any drivers that are going to be out of D1 this season, if you want to early, go ahead and announce those. If you got an idea.
Yeah, I might have ideas
Uh,
as well, but yeah, I'll probably give it a bit of a wait until maybe the season progresses. But yeah,
I think we pretty much covered everything we could.
hmm, I think we might have mentioned a bit of the season as well. And well, I was thinking, oh, are we going to talk about a potential bad season video for a specific driver?
Oh yes, yes.
Sally
In the
Appleseed?
future, uh, Sally Appleseed and John Appleseed will be featured. It depends on how John Appleseed go, but Sally Appleseed season definitely will be a part of Bad Seasons. It will be the second ever episode, followed by the Thomas Giuliano episode. Uh, I'll be making that after the season ends, somewhere around season 3 or season 4. Excuse me. I will make that video because Sally Appleseed's season has been terrible. I think she literally just has 6 points out of like 9 races we've done.
And
Six
currently,
points.
and currently last in
It's
points.
terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Those Hondas are terrible. Just saying that right now. They're terrible cars. But yeah, you can look out. You can look out for that video. I'll definitely be making it. Like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty heading into season 4. Like I said, there's rumors with HRE going down. SLR is not going to be a thing. There's going to be a new kind of like, I wouldn't say super team, but there's going to be a new main team coming in with the combined satellite team of CT Motorsports and SLR with the whole new name, some new drivers. Uh, some drivers are uncertainty, you know, now. Like a few of the fantasy drivers might not be here. Tracks are ending, you know. Dex Miyazaki might not be re-signed with CT Motorsports. Alejo might not be re-signed with CT Motorsports. There's rumors that Alejo might change his number to the 7. His team might be rebranded from the 2 to the 7 team. New sponsors at the end of the season, you know, stuff like that. Meeks might be leaving HR as a driver. He might be going elsewhere. We don't know. D2 drivers might be moving up to D1 by the end of the season.
That depends.
Obviously, we have some retirements.
Yeah, and
James
obviously,
Roll, people like that. That as far as that goes, I think we covered everything. We got the new team of Richard Petty Jr. Motorsports. I'm not sure who's on their team right now. I know Richard Petty is, obviously. We're going to have to see how they do since they're a new team formed in the middle of a season. I don't know how that works, but I just hope the best that they can do well. You know, maybe Richard Petty Jr. can get through his problems and get him a race win. You know, been in the back of the pack ever since he left JC, and that's just really unfortunate for him. He was definitely a future prospect until that crash, that big crash, probably ruined his career. But we'll see if he can bounce back and see if he can mix up anything. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all I can think of to cover, unless you can think of anything.
well, I'm just trying to make sure I clarify to everyone what I just said earlier. Regards to the potential D2 races promoting to D1. Now, I'm still looking at how am I going to limit the number of drivers full time. Obviously, I did mention earlier on, based on my plans from I think from season 2, maybe not. I think at the start of season 3 that I would only allow up to 38 full time drivers. So that means that for another 4 drivers, would have an option to race in D1 as a part timer, and having D2 as a full timer. And yeah, so based on that, it's just based on the available positions coming up to the next season. Obviously, we've seen drivers retiring with James Jameson and Rick Roll, so at least two positions will become available. But the only matter is that who would take those positions. Because for me, I'm really eager to see uh, more drivers promoting to the series, especially with the likes of any of the D2 drivers, basically. I mean, like we've seen AJ Jutney. AJ Jutney was a promising driver. He has raced in D1 in the last few races of season 2 last season, but obviously based on the limits of drivers taking part full time, he was not retained for this season. So we do hope to see more drivers promoting, hopefully eventually do well. So yeah, that's all I can say. Other than to say that this will basically depend on how D2 is going. Obviously, with slow progression, with trying to get started, and of course from next season there will of course be another rebrand to a more proper and true series that will definitely bring D2 in the long term, especially with Leland's new plans to bring a new mod in. I think that's all I can remember. But
I
yeah,
believe it's the nationwide uh, series 20 mod or whatever,
yeah,
the nationwide series,
the nationwide
something
series.
like
So this is based on the proposal.
the. I think it's the old Xfinity essentially series, like around 2011,
Yeah,
something like that.
he has.
That's I think it's I think we covered everything pretty much as we could. We
Yeah,
covered tracks, crashes, points, drivers, teams, all the rumors, pretty much.
and also just want to
We
mention.
addressed some of the wins. All right, go ahead.
I just want to mention one more thing. It's of course the calendar for season 4. Now, I don't think if I announced it publicly. I don't think I had, but I have agreed with Jerry Chen, our new admin, that the calendar will be ongoing a at least a partial revamp from next season. This is based on to try and make the schedule as similar to the proposed D2 schedule that is currently planned for next season. Obviously, the D2 the calendar for D2 has been proposed already publicly on the Discord chats. There'll be like 25 races, I think, for next season, and
There will be one thing I want to add. Uh, D2, Leland's D2. After the Ford EcoBoost series, after Ford Loop drops their sponsorship and it becomes the Disney Plus series, it that will be the only. Yeah, I can't speak. But anyways, D2 will have the playoff system according to Leland.
so the playoff system is what to go with it. So
They will have two will have the current playoff system.
so at least that's based on his plans. From my point of view, I have no plans to bring the playoff system to T1 for obvious reasons. For me personally, I don't want to
Yeah, it's
mention, but yeah. But based on my future plans, though, for D1 is hopefully to make the schedule as similar um, to D1. No, sorry, to D2 in terms of the number of races as we do one because currently this season we're having 18 races, so obviously that we want to make it more races to hopefully match the number of races with D2, and then probably from then we can have some of the races build with D2, so some races can share with D2. They can take part on the same day basically and stuff like that. However, I do want to
well.
also point.
Go ahead.
I do also want to
I'll
point out
finish
that
it.
I will try and keep the worldwide tour, the overseas tour, especially the likes of Canada, Japan, Germany, etc. So I will keep the tour as it is from my own accord. But I think for most of the American races, could do with a bit of a revamp, at least some reorganizing to make it as close with D2 as much as possible. So that's all I can say, really. Obviously, in probably in the days ahead, I can start, working out with a bit of help from Jerry Chen and probably a couple of others as well, with at least just give out some ideas and try and make arrangements of how the calendar will look like for next season. So yeah, so hopefully the calendar, as mentioned from a few of us on the Discord, a few of us members, we want to make the calendar look absolutely much better than before. So yeah, so
Well, let's make season three, the rest of season three, a great season. It's been a great season so far, despite our minor problems. We had little issues getting some of the tracks working, but we've had some great races, some great moments this season, uh, some great storylines, some great crashes. I think that's all for the mid-season review that we can go over. We'll probably do this again for season four if Lee wants to do it. I'll be able to do it. And
hopefully,
yeah, uh, that's all I got to say. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for Australia and Lotsitzring, Germany. There's going to be some good racing there. So yeah, so that's going to be it for me, from me. And yeah,
yep, we shall, yeah, definitely call it now. So yeah, we've covered everything. It's been like over an hour since we started. So yeah, we've covered literally everything. A lot of interesting things to go through. So yeah, thank you everyone for taking part in this video, and thank you for Cam Wright for taking part, and anyone who's watching this video live. If you're not watching it live, well, I have to say thank you everyone for watching this video. And for those who are watching, I hope to see you guys at least on track very soon. If you're a new member, you can, and you're interested in joining as a driver, feel free to check out the Discord link below in the description. It's just right there. And hopefully, whoever you are, I'll see you whenever I see you. So, yep. So that's all I got to say, really. Once again, as of this video, coming up next, race will be in Australia. That is a D1 race, and hopefully a couple of D2 races as well to go with it. So, thank you everyone, and I shall see you there. And yeah, take care everyone. Ciao.